Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Hot Flash Health Podcast. I'm Courtney Mamusha, and I have my co host,
Dawn Fable.
We are so excited to have started this journey with you guys. We've had some incredible guests. Who knew how much fun it would be to talk to all of these experts, friends, talk to each other, start this whole conversation going? We know it's so important for all of us to really understand what's happening to our bodies and talk to people who have more experience than we do and just share all of these great insights, conversations, and journeys with you. We thought we'd take kind of the chance to unpack who we've been talking to.
Please throw us a bone and do like and subscribe to Hot Flash Health on YouTube and soon to be on many other places where you get your podcasts. So we're so happy. And to echo Courtney's sentiments, here today we are just going to have real life conversations and unpack some of our amazing guests. We're so humbled that people have stepped up to share their stories, to share vulnerabilities, to provide us really their expert care, tricks and tips, and make this podcast really what it is, full of really great content around hormonal health and aging women. Let's start with the incredible, and I'm so blessed to have her as a dear friend, Christine Kleinspraker. She is now, as of yesterday, a best-selling author for a book called Unwinding Perfect. And wow. Christine's story is so inspirational. She was a very powerful co-CEO of a healthcare company. She is a mother of two beautiful children. She was a wife, and she had an extraordinary life. And at the age of 45 years old, or her mid 40s, she had sort of a spiritual awakening, which caused her to leave her entire life as she knew it behind and really find ways to fall in love with herself. And her story is so empowering. It's so powerful. And she talks a lot about her life growing up and sort of unwinding childhood patterning and how we as children have these expectations, which oftentimes come out in our adulthood. And so her book is Unwinding Perfect. And Courtney, you and I know one another well enough to know that we certainly have a bit of that in ourselves. And I think so many women have that. Just so much pressure that we put on ourselves and so much pressure as a society. We as women are supposed to, work hard, get married, have children, and then it all works out. But in the midst of doing so, where I've found myself is I get so caught up in pleasing others, where I really lose the identity of myself. And so I want to unpack that a little bit today because I think so many women out there are struggling. Is this something that you struggle with as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think most women in general are people pleasers. We're trying to please, our coworkers, our bosses, our kids, our partners, neighbors down the street, and be everything and anything to everybody, probably except ourselves. So I think that's really common in most of us. And I always give kudos to those who put up probably way more boundaries than I do and have their me time and really say no. And that's probably like something I continue to work on, is having no in my vocabulary, because I'm typically a yes girl or woman or queenager. Let's have the right terminology.
Speaking of saying no, a dear friend of mine just recently told me if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no.
Let's kind of unpack like what you've learned from her and some thoughts for the whole audience. And again, like, you all need to go listen and hear it for yourself. But what's some
man, it was so relatable. And I just am in complete awe of her bravery that she was literally able to step away from the life that she knew to fall in love with herself. And in doing so, she shared that she really had to relinquish that control. And I know from my perspective, control is something that I grasp very tightly onto. And that's a result of a lot of my anxiety issues. And we talked about that. And we talked about, her really recognizing her insecurities and owning them and going to a place where she was willing to see some of the darkness that she possesses, as well as the light, and cherish all of those qualities. We as women tend to be so hard on ourselves that oftentimes, one, we're not willing to do the work of seeing the darkness and how we can improve upon it. And
Yeah.
two, certainly not able to recognize the gifts and the talents and the beauty that we all possess on the inside. And so I just was, again, so in awe of her. And it's interesting you talk about boundaries, because something that she shared is that once she started setting boundaries
Mm-hmm.
um, in her life, there was a lot of resistance because people, whether it was in the workplace or her husband or her children or her friendships, they didn't like the boundaries that she was setting. That wasn't the Christine that she knew. And I know in my experience, I've set some boundaries in my life in different parallels, friendships, relationships, and it's
Yep.
completely destroyed the relationship.
There's people who will take it or leave it, and obviously you want to surround yourself by people who respect you and honor you and give you energy. I think that's the whole thing with a lot of us. We're all changing every day, right? Like we try and at the core remain who we are, but like how we approach life and how we see life and the friends we want to keep and just what's okay in your relationship. I didn't get to talk to her, but did she give you any tips or tricks on how do you find yourself? Do you make lists? Did she talk about kind of here's who I am today, here's who I want to be, here's what I'm okay with, here's what I'm not okay with? Because
Yeah.
I'm always thinking, what's my action plan to actually write this and do this and respect myself more?
Yeah, she was very thoughtful and mindful, recognizing that every person's journey is very different. For hers, it's so cool. I actually played a part in this, which I didn't recognize, but I had introduced her a long time ago to a woman who is a medical medium. Her name is Davy Blue.
Well, we
And
need to have her on because what's a medical
totally,
medium? That's cool.
Christine went to her because she was feeling very diminished in her workplace. You know, her health was starting to be compromised. She wasn't able to show up and be present for her children. Stress was really taking over her life. And she saw this woman, and there's actually a chapter in her book about this woman who really fundamentally changed the trajectory of her life just by getting Christine to acknowledge some of these things. So I think in
Wow.
some cases, there is sort of that spiritual evolution. I think that a lot of cases and this happens as middle-aged women, we are looking internally to find our happiness because for so long, our happiness has been enveloped in trying to
Yeah.
make our children happy and our husbands happy and all of these things. And it's changing. And so I think
Yeah.
whether that's meditation, whether that's self help, whether that's talk therapy, non talk therapy, um, really taking time to recognize those vulnerabilities and darknesses in your life had really helped her. Something that she talked about a lot, which was very cool, and you can understand this working in sort of a big powered corporate job, if you will. And I've certainly been there too, but I feel like we as women are relinquishing some of our feminine energy to keep up with a very masculine work environment. And that
Absolutely.
was something that she spoke of and she recognized that she was doing for a very long time. And once she started to showcase more of her feminine energy, it really sort of changed the dynamic of her workplace. So she was so powerful. She was so cool. She is. And I'm so proud of her for doing
Yeah.
this. I mean, it's something that every woman, I'm certainly not suggesting that every woman leaves their husband and quits their high powered job and
Right.
seeks some sort of awakening from a spiritual guru. But in her case, it really changed her life. And I would highly, highly encourage you all to buy her book. It's called Unwinding Perfect. Christine Klein Spraker. Again, it's been on sale for a couple days and it
That's
jumped the
amazing.
tops to the best selling. So happy for you, girl.
Yes.
Moving on,
Sure.
you had a very personal conversation of someone who's played a really important role in your life and your health journey with Dr. Julia
Yes.
Marchiol. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
I mean, it was not only informative. So how Dr. Julie came into my life was I was actually referred to her by another friend of mine who really said, Dr. Julie has changed my life significantly. Again, we're going back to a lot of us are vain and like taking the approach of health, perimenopause, menopause, we're getting these pounds that are harder and harder to get rid of, right? What is this tired? No matter how much I work, I can't get rid of it. My journey was more of, I had significant grief of losing two parents. So 3 years of really just like drowning myself in grief. The pounds came on, there was just this darkness. So I really wanted like a whole fresh approach to health. And she was great. So she has this practice. She actually graduated from Princeton. She really focuses on like the entire journey of everything from hormone replacement to kinesiology. She does muscle testing. She does a lot of supplement suggestions. The thing I love about her, she really looks at women as not only a client but a friend and really gets to know them. So she does a lot of blood work. She does continual tests on the blood work. A lot of what we talked about was the kind of traditional medicine. They can only do so much and they really only have like 10 or 15 minutes with you, and you maybe see them like twice, 3 times a year. So they're not tracking you. And I feel like when you take the time and you really are committed and you're really ready to make a change in your life, and it's not only like, hey, I just want to like lose 10 pounds, but really like look at what am I eating wrong? And like, how can I feel better? I'm low on energy. I feel like work is sucking things out of me. I don't feel like I have the same moods. I'm changing moods with my husband and my daughter. Things are just on a shorter fuse. So really getting to the bottom of that, I think, was really important to me. I really feel like you do need a partner when you're going through this journey. But she was great and shared a lot of her own insights.
With the whole body from a sort of
Yes.
diagnostic perspective,
Mental,
right?
physical,
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
She really has helped you from a whole health level, where
Yeah, I
she
mean,
has
kind of
looked at
everything that we're
you.
promoting, the 5 pillars, right? So it's, I mean, she has some spiritual. I feel like I'm kind of seeing a therapist every time I go to her because she's like, how's it going? To, mental clarity, to physicality, to hormones.
Sex, which
Sex.
I listened to that podcast because I wasn't able to join. And you guys talked a lot about through menopause and aging women, how libidos so often decrease, right? And
It's
you
interesting, right? So libido kind of ties into all of that, right? So if you're not happy at home or you come home stressed, she made a really good point that, when men come home traditionally, they're like done for the day, right? They're like, I'm going to relax. It's 5 o'clock. My clock is on relax mode. I'm going to run, a game or whatever. For women, we hit 5 o'clock and we have to go home and do laundry and cook dinner. I mean, luckily my husband cooks, so I don't have to do that. But you take on the other struggles and stresses of, okay, I have to recap my day. I have to plan for tomorrow. I've got to do this and that and that. Women are always full blown go, 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 go. So
on.
we
I
don't
mean,
have time.
yeah, I listened to this podcast from Glennon Doyle, and she talked about the constant ticker that goes on in our head. Men, I think, have the tendency to really sort of compartmentalize their tasks, whereas a woman cannot do that. So there is a constant ticker going on. And so once you tick one thing off your list, it
Another
just
pops up.
when you guys spoke about libido, she bring up a really interesting point in that she related it to the love language,
Yep.
where acts of power, acts of service, we're so tired at the end of the day and we're so depleted from taking care of everyone else in our life that your husband or your partner coming home and wanting to have sex, that's yet putting another thing on our plate where we
Yeah.
are having to feel like we have to please. And so what she explained, which I thought was fascinating, is if your spouse or partner comes home and cooks dinner or offers to go to the grocery store or something like that, it's really those simple acts that can help increase your libido. And I started thinking about it in my life. I'm like, oh my gosh, that absolutely rings true to me, because if there's one less thing that I can take off my ticker, perhaps I could be more present in those
Yeah.
intimate moments, or more willing, or not feel like that was yet again like another thing being asked of me.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sure all of us who are watching, listening have like trouble sleeping because I feel like there's never a time that I'm fully relaxed unless you're on vacation, which they always say vacation sex, because again, like you're relaxed and really have shut down the rest of the world and don't have to worry about it. But like, how can we translate that into our everyday? There's a lot to uncover there, but no matter who it is, it's finding the right partner for
Yeah.
you and really truly emphasizing that partner word, because you need a best friend that's going to go on this journey with you together and not just be like, oh, great, you've lost the 10 pounds. Bye.
Yeah. Or prescribe, 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 right? And not
Yeah,
find out
right.
the root. I love that you use the word partner in your health and wellness journey. And I think that that's really important. So
Yeah.
moving on,
Yes.
we had,
Jennifer.
yes, I've known Jennifer Barker forever. She is the co founder of a nutrition and fitness company called Nutrition Built Strength. And her fiance, Bradley Goldman, which we also spoke to, have a very interesting take and philosophy on nutrition and weight loss. And
Mm-hmm.
cool enough, they actually have a very niche part of their business that focuses on women, particularly perimenopausal or menopausal, which is
Yep.
perfect for hot flash health. So I had a great conversation with Jennifer. She was so vulnerable and so transparent in her struggles as a child and what taking on weight loss programs at an early age, oftentimes driven by society or her
Yeah.
mother, really did to her. And we talked a lot about yo yo dieting. And she made a funny announcement. She said, "Hi, my name is Jennifer Barker, and I am a persistent yo yo dieter. I have tried every yo yo diet under the sun, and nothing has worked for me." She really helped break down that we as menopausal or perimenopausal women cannot do the same exercise program that we did at 20 and 30 years.
25.
And so they create a very sustainable, very lifestyle driven, that's very focused on women, to really talk a lot about macros, to look at calorie intake and calorie
Take
outtake,
out. Yep.
recognize how important muscle mass and muscle building is, and really taking into account your hormones as you work out, because
Yep.
there's a lot of different things you can do as a personal trainer or as a nutritionist. You can take your height, your weight, your scale,
BMI. Yeah.
yeah, your BMI, your lifestyle, all of these things. But something that's missing, and a most important thing, oftentimes, is what is happening with your hormones, because
Yep.
how your hormones are fluctuating play into how you need to approach exercise and fitness.
And again, I think they were another great example of partners in health, right?
Yeah, Jennifer and I got on our soapbox. She used to work for the American Heart Association, which is really interesting. And she brought up something to me where the American Heart Association did not start doing studies on women and hormones and heart care until 1983 or 1987, right? And
Crazy.
it's crazy that the medical industry as a whole, whether it's heart health or digestive health or whatever it may be, is not taking into account the difference between women and men, and also not
Mhm.
taking into account your
Aging.
fluctuation in hormones and
Yep.
aging.
Yeah.
So she also brought up to me, and this pisses me off, this is my soapbox, you know, 87% of pharmaceutical dollars are being spent on erectile dysfunction, right?
Right.
For a very
Crazy.
small percentage of men who have ED. Yet 100% of women go through menopause, and guess how much research and pharmaceutical dollars and sort of progressive applications are being spent?
Like 0.02%. I don't even know. I mean, probably.
Very,
Yeah.
very little.
Yeah.
So why
Sad.
can a man go to the doctor when his dick is falling down and has no sex drive and get that covered by insurance, yet you and I,
Women
if I'm lacking libido or you're lacking libido and we need hormone replacement therapy, or perhaps testosterone is going to help
all
us,
out of pocket.
it's not covered by insurance?
Yeah. It's sad. It is really sad.
Complete and total bullshit. She
Bullshit.
also, Jennifer Barker also talked, because she shared her experience with semaglutide.
Mhm.
And as a nutritionist, she sees applications for semaglutide in many clients, particularly, obese and diabetic and things like that. And she's also a proponent of it if you can implement a changed behavior. Her
Yes.
experience with semaglutide, however, was a lot like a lot of different women that are getting semaglutide from the internet or unknown sources, and there's not a level of medical oversight,
Mm-hmm.
and you're sort of left to your own devices to
Yes.
implement any sort of sustainable layer on top of your semaglutide that would then help this be a sustainable. She
It is
shared.
interesting. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of friends that I've talked to, when they do the internet, they don't have any, you're right, they don't have somebody they can talk to who's, how did you feel last week? How was your eating? I think it's really important for all of us who are going on any type of change to really track what we're doing. It's
No,
interesting
you're
when you
so
don't
right.
have somebody regulating.
You're
So it's
so
hard.
right. And then, of course, we talked about the trend in women that we're seeing who are on semaglutide and losing weight so rapidly. This new,
Mm-hmm.
like, skinny fat look.
And they're
She,
losing muscle mass.
yes. And
Yeah.
that's what happens as quickly as you're losing weight, you're also losing muscle mass. And so, as a middle aged woman, whether you're on semaglutide or not, the importance of strength training and
So,
is so vitally important. And her fiance, Bradley, who we're going to dive into next, has a history in bodybuilding. And
yes.
interestingly, there's a lot of applications around bodybuilding and what is a sustainable diet for females, not suggesting that we should go be bodybuilders. Um, Jennifer Barker was so cool, and being a middle-aged woman herself and having experienced a lot of this yo-yo dieting trends, she really has found a sound application within their
Yeah.
business that helps women lose weight and sustain the weight that they've lost. Yeah,
Yeah.
and what a unicorn to find someone like Julie or Bradley and Jennifer
Totally.
who really specialize in their expertise around women with hormonal imbalances or with shifting hormones. On to Bradley, I know you and I tried to get him
Take
to.
your shirt off.
Yeah, yeah, totally. He was like, "Nope, I'm not
We
taking my
tried,
shirt off."
ladies. We tried.
Yeah, but he, Jennifer Barker, lucky her,
Mm-hmm.
she is
Gets to
engaged
marry
to
him.
someone. He's 10 years
Yes.
younger, which I told Jennifer we have to have her on the podcast to figure out how she wrangled that one. But she's amazing in herself. But Bradley has a really interesting background. Bradley
Yeah.
Goldman from Nutrition Built Strength. He started off as a kindergarten teacher in Beverly
In
Hills.
LA.
Yes.
Yeah, Beverly Hills.
Could you imagine being a teacher for
Yeah.
those Beverly Hills moms?
I'm sure every other day they were like, take your shirt off. Can I have a one-on-one meeting with you?
Oh my God, but what a pain in the ass they all are.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And
We
then
are pains in the asses.
totally, I'm a pain in the ass and I don't even live in Beverly Hills. But so then the pandemic hit, right?
Yep.
And he's been very passionate about fitness and shared his
I loved
personal
his
way.
story. Yeah, I loved his story of how he looked at his little girl and realized, like, I want to leave a better future for her. And I don't want my daughter growing up as a teenager and starting to diet and getting like these wrong images in her head. And how can I help women right now and moving forward to really understanding their bodies and like how to approach things in a more healthy way? I love that.
Yes, it was so cool and so empowering. He was very vulnerable, which we love, in that he experienced his infertility journey. It was him
Yep.
who was infertile as a
Yep.
result of being a bodybuilder and the excess use of steroids. And he is a man who will be on HRT and testosterone for the rest of his life.
Mm-hmm.
And he helped us, not only did he share his own personal experience and how that sort of played into the evolution of creating Nutrition Built Strength and his thought process and really wanting to empower women and empower the youth of today. But he brought up a lot of really great points around how do we as women know if our husbands, our spouses, our brothers, our dads might be in need of hormone replacement therapy, because that's not
Yeah.
something that's talked about a lot.
No, absolutely not. It's more of like primary care doctor is like, well, let's give you a pill for, this and this and this, and not really getting to the root of the problem, which I think is
Yeah.
dangerous and like just, it's our healthcare today. It's not taking patients one by one and really diving into the problems and seeing what's really the cause. So kudos to him.
What were some of the indications that a male might be in need or seeking a conversation around hormone replacement therapy for men?
Oh, great. You're wanting me to recall this.
I think it
I don't know.
was
Wasn't like a lack of drive, the same thing, kind of lack of sex drive,
lack of motivation,
motivation.
a decline in muscle mass for
Yes,
no
yes. Rapid
particular
time.
reason.
Was he talking
And then,
about facial
well,
quickly?
what he was talking about is, and this was very poignant, is we as women trust our hairdressers to do our hair, and we're
Yes.
not oftentimes going to do it ourselves, when if it's not working, but we're not trusting our instincts and or our nutritionist or fitness providers to really lead us in the right direction. If it's not working, we just keep on trying something that's not working. And that really was frustrating for Bradley and what they built at Nutrition Built Health, Nutrition Built Strength, because they give a very real life, sustainable, whole health approach
Yep.
that allows you to enjoy life too. He talked about cookies and cocktails, which I
Yeah,
love. I
I do
love
too.
cookies and cocktails. So the fact that you can still have cookies and cocktails
Hmm.
and continue to lose weight and keep the weight off because of their
And
applications was phenomenal.
And I think he did talk about when do we eat? So it's like this sort of stress eating after 3 o'clock, and on the weekends we're grazing in the fridge. So I think a lot of how he and Jennifer approached diets or a nutrition guide is, Saturday and Sunday you have more leeway because we know that that's going to happen anyway. So it's being realists about who
Yeah.
we are, right? I mean, hate these people who are like, hey, just drink the lemon and cayenne water for a
Yeah.
week, and
And
you're
have
like,
chicken
great. Well,
breasts.
that's not going to be sustainable, right? So I might lose all the water weight and look great in a dress, but that's nothing I can take moving forward to live off of.
Totally. He brought up a really interesting point saying that women gain the large majority of their weight on
Oh yeah,
Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. So they do this sort of binge eating, if you will.
yep,
And then throughout the week, and what I really appreciate about Nutrition Built Strength is they recognize the busy schedules of mothers and women trying to run all over town, do carpools, do all of that stuff. And he made a hilarious joke about how we're, running around making Taco Tuesdays for our family. And then we're sitting there eating ice chips on a plate of
totally.
sadness. And
I love
how
that part too,
that's ridiculous. Like us as
which
women,
resonates because we've done that, right? We're always like, here's your food, family, and we're like,
yes. And that shit's not sustainable either.
mm-mm.
So
Yeah,
again, it goes back to the yo-yo diets, the ice chips and the plate of sadness. He doesn't buy
yeah,
into that. He's like, calories are important. Calories in, calories out, right? Weight training
yeah.
is important. It's important to recognize your hormonal balance or imbalance. And he talked a lot about the discrepancy of blood work that we're getting back and the
Yes.
interpretation of what blood work can be. And women are just settling to the fact that your blood work may be within average. That's
It's true, but
bullshit.
again, having somebody look at it, right? So I remember going to a doctor, and it's like my thyroid was quote unquote average, but on the lower side. But because I went to, Dr. Julie, I was like, I'm still not losing weight. So she's like, let's get you on some supplements that can start helping with your thyroid, even if it's not medically like out of range. Like it looks like it's low enough that we can get you on something that should kind of kick it in the right gear. So
The
like, how can we do
optimal,
things?
right?
Yeah,
Even though it was
yeah,
sort of middle of the line, that's not good
right.
enough. And we as women are settling for middle of the line, where a lot of physicians or nutritionists or whoever out there may be are not working with us, being partners,
Yeah.
as you said, to achieve that optimal hormone level.
We're not like all cut from the same cloth, people. Like we're all different. We've got different
Yeah.
things going on inside, and we need somebody that really can look at the whole picture and say, all right, this might be wrong. This one, like everyone listening, right? You're not the same as myself or Don. We're all different. We've got, similar parts. We're all made up of the same things, but honestly, like how we work and how we progress or
I
process
bet my
foods.
vagina is hanging a little lower than yours.
Well, after, your low hanging vagina story, I don't know, but sounds like
I
it. But
totally
I'm
got
paying
it.
more.
Oh, yeah, there you go. You and I have both had similar frustrations where we've gone to our general practitioner or whomever physician that we're seeing,
Yeah.
whomever is dressed in a white coat, and said, hey, listen, I
Yep.
think I'm perimenopausal or I'm symptomatic of, you know, hormone instability, or perhaps I'm approaching menopause. And so often we as women get the answer of, yeah, welcome to the party. You're basically going to be a miserable bitch for the next 10 years of your life. Deal with it. And Brad,
You're not old enough, right? I'm 45, almost like they're like, oh no, you're not doing that's not yet. I'm like, how do you know what I'm going through? Like, I am my own person and I'm telling you, right? Listening to your clients, I'm telling you there's something going on with me.
yeah. So we have to advocate for
Totally.
ourselves, continue to push through that. And what Bradley, you and I talked about is a lot of these physicians don't have the answers,
Yep.
or it takes too much effort to
To
dig
find the
down
answer.
to the deep results, refer you to an endocrinologist or whatever that may be, or just write it off as it's menopause and you're
That's
fine.
it. Yeah.
Exercise,
Good
work
luck.
out. Yeah.
Totally. Deal with
Maybe
it. Yeah.
here's an SSRI or something, here's an
Yeah.
anti-anxiety medication. And
Yep.
you were,
Pop more pills.
yeah, you were very vulnerable, which I so appreciated because I'm very much the same way. And I think very few women talk about this. And you've been experiencing some recent sort of issues with your health journey, frequent headaches, passing out, getting really lightheaded. You've
Yeah.
spoken to physicians if, in fact, that may have something to do with semaglutide. They
Yeah.
say no. But you and I were talking, we as women, are we willing to sacrifice our own health and continue to feel lightheaded and continue to have headaches? And in my case, continue to feel like I'm going to pass out at tennis to
For vanity, to
sustain,
look good.
yeah, to keep, to have those 10, 15, 20 pounds off. And I
Yeah.
think that is a real problem with women,
Women for it.
and
Yeah. I mean, it's
admittedly
something,
so.
yeah, we need to talk about and have some more friends on, have some more experts on. I think, what we're doing here, and I'm so proud of us, is really opening up the door to conversations. Right now in our history of time, we see more around menopause and more people are talking about it. You and I were both saying our mothers never really sat us on the couch and said, like, this is going to be a son of a bitch and here's what you can, wait for. It was sort of this hush hush thing. And once women got to this, we have no idea what to do. So I'm hoping what we're providing all of you listening is a way to understand and validate that you're not going through this alone. This shit is real. And I don't know if it's going to be solvable, but we're going to help you through this journey because we're trying to help ourselves fucking figure this
Yeah,
out.
just by being vulnerable. And for
Yeah.
you, I'm so happy to be along on this journey with you. I
Yeah.
think Hot
You're
Flash
right.
Health, unpacking all of the amazing guests that we have been
Yes.
humbled and honored to have. Way more to come. So do us a favor. We're trying to make something of this, guys. This isn't just for fun, although we do have a tremendous amount of fun.
Yes. Yes.
Follow us, like us, subscribe to
Comment.
YouTube. Mamas need a new pair of shoes, right? We need to pay for our
Yeah.
semi-glutide next month. That shit's expensive.
Let us help you. You help us, we'll help you.
And
Yes, we'd love to know if you want to chat with us. We'd love to know if you have somebody great that you're working with who would be great on our podcast or just to be friends with. We're all into this together. So we're building this community, give you guys the resources you need moving forward. We have great doctors that we've talked to here. We'd love to have that in every city, in every country around the world. We're going to be offering. Dun, 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 dun.
yes, so we will soon have at hotflashhealth.com, there will be a proprietary AI generated menopause score. This menopause score is fueled by medical journals, physicians, and really does a score for you individually and breaks your score down in 5 different pillars. Those pillars are physical wellness, sexual wellness, hormonal wellness, spiritual wellness, and mental. We really, really want you to go to hotflashhealth.com, take our menopause score. It will give you so much insight into really what you need to do to take the next steps, open up some of these conversations with your girlfriends, reach out to us. And we're building this incredible community, and we're so grateful for you. So again, Hot Flash Health on YouTube, make sure and subscribe. And thank you to you, my beautiful friend.
Thank you, my
you
beautiful
look
friend.
especially beautiful today.